her title, the title of her speech is Meant to Be. This is speech number 5. It'll be 5 to 7 minutes. It's a motivational speech. And a little bit about her. She is interested in research, family, and child development. She's an international motivational speaker, author, mom of 2. That's tremendous, just being a parent. I can't imagine it. She loves to travel. Passionate about God and family, people's growth, and learning. So let's welcome Miss Adriana.
Mr. Toastmaster, yes, fellow Toastmasters, I would love to, first of all, say happy birthday, girl. I have my mask, but it's broken, so I'm not going to wear it. Not long ago, I came across this amazing story, and it really attracted me because this little girl became an orphan at a very young age. What really intrigued me was that her male cousin stepped up, raised her, and he was only a few years older than her. They both lived in Iran, and she was Jewish, and so was he. When her mother passed away and her father was killed or something in that area, they had a chance to move to Jerusalem, but they chose to stay in Iran. As they stayed in Iran, they decided to immerse themselves more into the culture, only to realize later on in life that so much more was about to happen. This little girl's name was Hadassah, and her cousin was Mordecai. And as they grew up, their people, the Jewish people, had a lot of problems with the Iranian people, back then known as the Babylonian people. And the queen over the empire, back then with the king, and his name is Hasuerus, if I remember right, she was not very obedient. Now, back then, the king threw a huge party, something like Mardi Gras. And he was really trying to show off to his people, to his men, and he calls out some of the women and says, go bring the queen. To do what? Show her up. She was beautiful, she was intelligent. She, I believe, could tell some jokes. Now, the queen herself also had a party for all the women for just as long as the king, and she was not interested in showing up to the king and say, hey, here I am, show me off. Now, the story goes, the king was very upset. Not because she didn't come, but because he had to dethrone her. Why? Because the laws of the land said that's what is the right thing to do. Again, why? Because women would go home and do the same thing to their husbands. Now, going back to my little orphan girl, she's being called on to become the king's, I don't want to say mistress, but later on the queen. She's very young. She probably was only about 18 years old when the army comes and just snatches the girls from the town and brings them to the palace. Mordecai now was probably about 30-some years old, and he took her, hid her, and as he hides her, these 2 army officers come in and find her. She starts crying, as I would. However, they hug, they embrace one another, and he says to her, Hadassah, don't